Hey everyone. So, from the ending of the video, the previous episode, to now, I haven't actually played anything because I was too busy editing and uploading the videos. It's an experience trying to figure out how to, like, edit stuff again. But I'm doing well enough, I would say. Let me pull up these notes. Okay, so one of the things that I wanted to start off with is the fact that, yes, I have actually seen episode 1 of the video that I reference of, like, the reason why I got into this game. As I was in the middle of editing the second act episode uploaded, and I am completely staying away from it until I am fully done with this act. I'm actually really excited to see what's going on with it, but again, I'm really trying not to watch it. But in the episode of Act 1, I did see where the box code is. So until I'm trying to delete the actual memory of what number it is. I think it may have said at some point that it's like, I think there may be a 1, and that's it. That's all that I can remember. And honestly, that's probably best. I feel like until the game explicitly points me at that location, I'm not even going to try to look at it to even spoil myself. Also, I found Scott's hidden safe as I was, like, running around and, like, checking some stuff. Yeah, I don't know how I ever didn't see it, but hey, it's there. I did have some thoughts while I was editing, you know? We still do not have a key to the sheriff's cabinet, but we have all of the sheriff's notebooks, which is fascinating, meaning that there's probably something in that cabinet that I'm not supposed to see until a lot later. Since the barber shop and cafe are mentioned several times in text, I'm gonna guess that there's another way to get into them that isn't from the street, because I can't find a lock on either of those two doors, but they're certainly prominent. We're gonna go into, like, all three of the avenues of, like, where it can go in a bit, but I just wanted to, like, get everyone up to date where, like, where I am mentally and where I'm about to go mentally. Well, physically. Probably just to make it feel like you're investigating a ghost town, but why does it look like everyone vacated the city in a rush? So I had this thought while I was editing that everyone, including the manor, looked like that they were mid packing up, and then everyone stopped what they were doing at that moment and walked out of town. And it's kind of creepy now that I really think about it. I was mentioning it in episode 3 how my slight agoraphobia is freaking out by how empty the city is. And to be honest, I appreciate the fact that they are going for that vibe. I was rereading one of the notebook passages. I believe it was Scott's journal? No, it was someone. I think it might have been Charles. Yeah, it was Charles. Charles mentions that Scott leaves fresh lilies on graves for those who are at peace to symbolize that they have fully made it. The only grave that has fresh flowers is the unmarked grave, which is interesting. I'm going to keep that in the back of my brain, but I don't really have a clear idea of where I want to go with this. So I probably went a little bit over in my stuff, but I actually got curious. So the Latin that was on the coin, ex nihilo nihil fit, means nothing comes from nothing. And at first I was like, why is it like that? And then I found out that it's actually a very popular phrase for you should you should work hard to get something because nothing comes from nothing. I'm like, oh, okay. But the fact that it's Latin on a coin is just a dangling thread right now, and there isn't really too much other than that. So, this is the main thing that I realized as I was going through, like, some of the evidence. I'm trying to think. of why they would mention an affair subplot with Charles. And then I realized the reason why Wanda's medical payments are being paid in full by the family is not just because that she used to be the head maid at the family, it's because she's the one that Charles had an affair with. And the reason why he cares so much about Derek is because he's worried that Derek is his illegitimate child. Which then leads into something that Scott wrote in his journal, that Derek is kind of like a guardian for Trisha, which is a very big brother type of mindset to have. And I wonder if he's doing it habitually, which this whole thing starts sending up red flags. So, I had this thought, and it made me point a little bit closer to where my mind was at the end of episode 3. And I'm gonna get to that when I scroll down a little bit further. Yes, okay. So, I made a list of suspects for Act 1. And I'm gonna do the same thing when I'm done with Act 2. Basically, put down where my line of thinking is for all of the possible suspects. And I'm also going to mention the only reason why I have this list of possible suspects is because I actually did watch the entirety of the Act 1 video, in which at the end of that video he shows the list of suspects and he breaks down what someone could possibly be thinking at this moment, and it's pretty close to what I was thinking, but I'm gonna just kind of expand. So, going from alphabetical order by first name, for some reason, Andrew Reed. So, Andrew Reed currently, in my notes, is said to have died before the murder. So, he's probably not the murderer. And as Holt said in his video, he is currently dead. And that puts a dampen on a thing that is often shown in detective stories and games, where it's really satisfying for the main character to confront the killer directly and point them towards justice. It's not going to be satisfying if the hero comes across the grave of the person who died 10 years ago and they're like, and we'll never get justice now. That feels a little bit weird. So I can totally understand where his mindset's coming from. So, next one is Bernard Hopkins. The butler did it trope is so classic, I didn't have to stretch it too far to think about how he could possibly be the killer. Especially the fact that it seems like the murder weapon came from his house, which is the missing military knife that was from his case. He's also missing an axe, but he's not missing his rifle. And I wonder if that's purely because the person who took the weapons didn't know how to fire the rifle. And that's just my thought, but oh well. So, Charles Roberts. In a lot of the story passages, and I came to this conclusion after rereading all of this and then hearing myself reread it back to me while I'm editing, Charles really did set a ton of roadblocks for Vivian, basically going, no, you can't just tell me what to do, I'm gonna do this. And it makes me think about the whole thing with Derek, which makes me think that if Charles is the killer, it's because he helped Tyler kill her. Not him directly, it's just that he was an accessory to murder, you know? So, Daniel Reed. We do not know too much about Daniel Reed. All we really know is that Andrew was writing him a letter before he died, so it isn't too much of a possibility that I'm gonna just spitball and say Andrew Reed dies, his employer Vivian covers it up, Daniel Reed comes and takes her out, and then vanishes from the story with as little of information as possible. And he is basically I have ruled out all of the other suspects, maybe this. And I'm gonna jump a little bit ahead to where is she? Laura Reed. So in Holt's video, I noticed that there was the name Laura Reed. Laura Reed has not shown up in the story at all, which means that Laura Reed is Andrew Reed's ex-wife, which is interesting because she still has his last name. And when I read that, I went, that's a bit weird. And I thought of the same reasoning behind Daniel Reed maybe being the murderer, which is I've eliminated all the other suspects. What is the first one that pops above the water? You know? And we're gonna get to Derek later. We're gonna just skip him for now. Dorothy Patterson. So, Miss Patterson has been in my notes for a while, and I never connected the dots that Dorothy, no last name given, and Mrs. Patterson was actually the same character. So, I just combined both of their notes together, and I realized for being a person who works in the house, she is barely mentioned so far. All that we really know about her is that she was at the hospital and she has the key to the photography business. So clearly we're going to learn more about her when we go to get that key. Speaking of the photography business, Oliver Gibson. He's one of the only characters that we've actually heard audio of him. So it puts him a little bit above characters who are dead, but not too much. We still don't know too much about him, but when we start getting into the new clues from Act 2, maybe, who knows. Henry Johnson died before the murder, but I definitely feel like that he is an accessory or a motive for why Vivian was killed. He's probably fully dead, not like a ghost running around, so probably he's not our suspect. James Howard not only is out of the story, he's not even in the running. He is actually probably the lowest possibility, right next to Henry Johnson and Andrew Reed. Because they're dead, and James Howard, being the sheriff of the town, I'm gonna have to trust that didn't do it. But also because I got all of his notes. And I feel like they would have set some sort of like caveat of like, oh, he has a secret journal sitting inside the cabinet. If that's true, he suddenly becomes more interesting and higher up on the list because they hid his involvement through the achievements. And I kind of like that, and I like where they're going with that. Scott Brooks, I'm also going to skip him for the same reason. Sorry, Matthew Brooks. Scott Brooks is the easiest suspect, and if you've ever seen any sort of detective fiction, you know that the first name that is pushed forward with the suspect is probably not true. More than likely, Scott Brooks is the red herring, that all of the early clues are designed to look towards, but not actually there. Trisha Roberts, along with Scott, is currently dead. So probably a little bit lower on the list. But one of the things is that a lot like Charles, she is a likely suspect for conspiring with Derek. So again, both of those characters funneling their suspect energy into Scott. Sorry, into Derek as a character. I'm gonna talk about Scott's dad in a bit. But Wanda Tyler has been bedridden since 1993. She is certainly not around anymore, and she's probably not going to be too high on the list. She might actually be the absolute lowest possibility out of all of the characters who are dead. So, let's talk about two characters that suddenly become incredibly suspicious when you start looking at them. Let's start with Matthew Brooks, since he's reverse first name alphabetically. So, Matthew Brooks is the priest, and normally you would not want to point a finger to the priest as the most likely suspect, but one of the things that made me really suspicious is how many locked things are inside the church. It's not the idea that there's a lot of locked things in the church, it's where they are. There's locked seats underneath the confessional. You have a basement into there that may or may not go into the sewers, which we are actually going to get to that, don't worry. I'm going to explain something about that really quickly. One of the things that made me kind of suspicious, and the reason why I kept bringing up the missing kid poster, is specifically because I have a feeling that Matthew Brooks or James Howard had something to do with the disappearances of kids around the town. There was sorry, not James Howard. James Howard is the cop. Henry Johnson. So my idea, it could be James, if he actually does have a secret journal that I don't know of. So you have Henry Johnson, kind of dubious doctor. I almost forgot the word. Who has been, well, looks like someone's been forging signatures on paperwork. Very suspicious. James Howard. He's a cop that has locked items in his stuff that are not going to come into important until later. Very suspicious. Matthew Brooks also has a bunch of locked stuff. His timing for stuff is a little bit weird. And something about him makes me very wary, especially with the fact that he tried to reintroduce Scott back in the town shortly before both Scott and Trisha died. And I'm wondering if Scott and Trisha are kind of like a Romeo and Juliet type thing, where it's like, well, if your mother didn't want us to be together, we won't live in a world without each other. You know, that kind of thing. And all of that is funneling, all of that sort of like suspicion is funneling into Matthew Brooks as a very possible suspect. He's not too much of a suspect. I'm still very middle on him, but a lot of arrows are oddly pointing towards him in his direction, and I don't know why yet. And we're going to get into that. Finally, the most likely suspect is Derek Tyler. And it's not just because he has a typewriter in his house. It's the whole thing with the affair is pointing to him. The fact that the family and a lot of the staff were siding with Derek on a lot of stuff. And the fact that Derek just comes off as an incredibly suspicious person from his notes. Now again, we don't have all of the notes of Derek, we don't have all of the notes of Scott. I'm just worried that something is going to come up at some point and throw a wrench into all of this. So, let me talk about something that I've done between episodes. I was on the Steam page, and I remember Holt mentioning something about using the UI for Steam to convey parts of the story. And he's going to get into that a little bit later, but I wanted to do my own digging before all of this. So, there are a set of trading cards that every game comes with. And some games like to do characters, some games like to do items. I think the Cluedo game has like one card for each of like the important things in Clue. So it's like there's all the characters you could play, all the locations you could go to, and then all of the weapons. I'm like, that's kind of cute. In this game, they have cards of locations that you can go to. So, listing off in order, you have the mansion, you have the hospital, you have the church, you have the cemetery, you have the sheriff's outpost, you have the village, and then you have the inn. But there's two that I skipped. Scott's cabin, which I'm guessing is the inside of the hunting cabin, as you could kind of see in the image, depicts a cork board with like all of the suspects onto it. And then the sewers, a place that I would not know exists if that card didn't exist. Meaning that there was a way to get into the sewers underneath the town to kind of investigate some stuff. And I'm guessing that that's how you're going to get to a lot of places that feel locked off. Using the sewers as kind of a way to be like, you're now in this place that you didn't expect. Which, most likely, what's going to happen is that you're going to go to the church with a key, and then using that key, you get into the sewers, and then using that, you go underneath the town, you unlock a few places, and then you come out into the hospital, and then you get back through that door that is barred from the other side. That is what I am currently thinking. I think I may have mentioned the fact that I figured I'd probably be going through the sewers when I was exploring the hospital at that point. That is my thought process right now. And you literally have every piece of information that I currently have that I know about this game. Took a half an hour to get there, but hey, that's what editing me has to deal with. Two things before we actually follow up with what we were doing before. I need to double check a very important clue in our stuff to make sure that that's actually what it says. And if not, I'll just skip it to go to later. Why am I in front of here right now? I definitely feel like I did not explore this place as thoroughly as I should have. And I could potentially remedy that, but I think I'll wait. Okay, so we have the security room password that was in Moss's journal. We have the key card for the hospital we can't use right now. We have an AOL password that we don't know how to input. And we have a desk password. Out of everything here, since we're at the house, we're going to do the security room first. Since we're here, I was going to go to Scott's room, but oh well. 025241. Okay. Keys. Doesn't look like we're gonna open that. Security desk logbook. Offline. Security cameras. Who's the security guard? Bernard Hopkins. Phone number. Employee type regular. Job title butler. Staff in the house. Derek Tyler. I guess this is where you would find Bernard's house number. Okay. Wanda Tyler. Housemaid. Housework. Date hired in the 70s. Currently hospitalized. She will resume her work when discharged. Everyone's got colored pictures except for Andrew. And this is how you would find Andrew's. Occupation and job title. Gardener, carpenter, handyman, maintains the Roberts mansion. So he literally did everything around the house. Hardworking and trusted by Vivian. Interesting you say that. I keep reading NL as the state acronym, and I'm like, New London? Like, what is that? Dorothy Patterson. There we go. That's how we could connect the two. Longest hired employee by the Roberts family, hired in the 60s. Occupation and job title. The nanny. Childcare and housework. Interesting. So she's not the head servant, she is Trisha's nanny. Mary Martinez, no photo available. Employee address 10 Town Center. Meaning that I could probably go there. Housemaid previously worked at Moon Cafe. Fascinating. Oh, and all those were recorded. So, key to the key room, key to Trisha's room, and then key to Dorothy's room, which is the nanny's room. Okay, March 18th, 1994. Someone ran through garden last night. A man about 5'5" wearing a hooded sweater climbed the fence wall into the garden. He proceeded to run into the backyard and jumped over the back wall. 7 days later, new stack of VHS tapes have arrived. Please use the new tapes instead of the recording over the existing ones. Okay. April 6th. I came across a note by Magdalene Roberts. Stuck between one of the old logbooks. It was requesting the search of a missing security tape dated to 75. Seems the tape was never found. What do you mean a security tape from 75? We have a new security guard coming in today. His name is Samuel Green. Tom Parker will be his mentor to get him up to speed. This is not a name we've heard before. Andrew came to the mansion around 11 p.m. He was very drunk. Scott was called. He arrived around 11:15 and brought Andrew home. August 12th. Today marks Tom Parker's 20th year since he started working at the mansion. He'll be retiring from his position next month to take care of his ailing wife. There's a strange tale going around Painscreek recently. I noticed during my recording I was saying Plainscreek a lot. It's so bad I even named the unedited videos Plainscreek. Like it was that bad. Stephanie, a 6-year-old girl, got lost during Halloween apparently. She followed some fireflies in the woods and could not get back home. Her parents called the sheriff. They conducted a search, could not find her. 2 hours later, Stephanie got home safe and sound. When asked how she found her way back, Stephanie said a young lady found her crying and brought her back. She didn't know the lady's name, but remembered her being pretty and having long black hair. She was wearing a black dress, similar to what mansion maids wear at work. The strange thing is when I asked around, all the maids said they were working that evening. Yeah, this little bit of information is to confirm that the black dress lady was in fact Sophia's ghost. 1994. Bernard mentions Scott to Vivian. She gets concerned. Vivian starts becoming paranoid of Scott. Andrew's medication starts, and he starts seeing Sophia again. Andrew's house burns down sometime later. Huh. So at the beginning of the year, in 1994, Scott wonders who Sophia is. If it was reversed, in which this is the beginning of the year, and 1993 was... Sorry, if 1993 was when Sophia's ghost was seen, I could tie the two events together, but now I can't as easily, and that is a little annoying. But that is fascinating information. Okay, first things first, tea room. Oh my gosh. I got on my first try, that's nice. Vivian Roberts' diary. Key with an exquisite design. Usually designed to be used with villas and mansions. Huh. Friday, April 28th, 1972. Okay, so we're getting some stuff from the 70s. Oh my gosh, her writing style. Charles is running for election. I talked with Wilson and Edwards, and they have both agreed to support us. I don't think they are doing this solely gain business benefits. Rather, they believe in Charles. The support will help boost morale for our party. June 30th, 1972. It's our anniversary today. Charles invited me to my favorite restaurant. It was a complete surprise. I thought he might have forgotten. After dinner, we spent the rest of the evening walking around the beach. We talked as if we were teenagers in love. I could not remember the last time I felt this carefree. Magdalene is coming. August 9th, 1972. What should I do? She's always asking when we'll be having kids. I don't think I'm ready yet, not while I'm still recovering from the miscarriage. Friday, October 13th, 1972. Edward called today to try to push me in favor of a business agreement that we discussed months ago. I rejected his request since it will breach the trust agreement between our companies. I didn't expect him to threaten me by backing out from supporting Charles. If that will happen, so be it. I would rather lose his support than make deals with people with no integrity. Fascinating. And just to confirm, Eric is not the same person as Edward. Took me a second. Oh. We're the workers live in mansion, so we actually do have all of their addresses. Nice. Fine china. Singular fork. Okay. Nope. It's not that one. It's not the Slim Jim either. I'm gonna keep trying it. I'm gonna keep trying it on every single lock just in case. Nelson and Brown investigation. Response to the investigation on Painscreek Community Hospital donation funds, 1993. Dear Miss Vivian Roberts, our latest investigation shows that Dr. Henry Johnson has been embezzling funds from the Roberts Relief Fund. He's sending a portioned amount to an offshore private account under the name of Jefferson Investments LLC. Every fifth of the month, an exact amount of $9,990 is being transferred supposedly for the payment of medical supplies and equipment. However, neither the equipment nor the medical supplies could be accounted for. This has been going on for the past 16 months, and as of now, the total amount embezzled is $160,000. Sincerely, Roland Brown. Dang. I'm gonna write that date down and what that is. Oh, these must be the letters that was mentioned. There's a bunch of hate mail stored in here. How does it feel to ruin the lives of many? You cost me my job, you heartless witch. You don't deserve to live. Okay, so rather tame stuff, but it's still hate mail. Oh, that's for the lid to come down. Okay. Oh, it's a good thing I checked the clock. Jeez. So, these type of clocks are wound using a little key into it. I don't think this is gonna work. Yeah, I figured. I put item needed instead of key needed because it specifically says place item instead of it's locked. So let's next check out Trisha's room. There we go. Are both of the drawers locked? Yeah, I guess so. What else is here? Trisha requested that all her books be brought to her room at the hospital. Oh, it's a little music box. Figured I would at least check. Looks like a cabin key. Wonder where that goes to. November 13th, 1988. Scott's a strange kid, very quiet. Oh, so when he gets adopted. I don't think it's right for the other boys to bully him and call him names. I wonder why Scott's parents didn't want him. 1989. I don't like after-school programs, especially ballet. It's difficult and boring, and I hate proper etiquette. What's wrong with being myself? I don't need to be like Mom. I haven't seen Dad in a while. I wonder when he'll be back. Every time I enter the study, I could smell his tobacco smell. It's a perfect reminder when he's gone for so long. I miss Dad. Mom's always working. She's so lousy with other people that she has no time for me. Sometimes I wonder if Mom loves me. Maybe I should call Dorothy Mother instead. I wonder about that. I'm gonna guess that that is the North Corridor room, since it's also 5 digits. Let me just put that here. Okay. Nope. Oh, that must be like her closet. Okay, let's go see if we can find that study room again. Wait a second. Okay. So, Dorothy's room is over here. Gonna go over there since that's where the key is. Exercise room, bathroom, maid room, guest room. Maid room, guest room, bathroom? Why is the bathroom locked? And better question is... I'm gonna write that down. One second. Another Bible. This one looks out to driveway. 1996. So this is the year after Vivian died. So closes and bellman suspected. Dear Charles, I have worked here for more than 20 years, and I am so glad to have been able to spend time here with everyone. I greatly appreciate the opportunities you gave me and the time I spent with Trisha. Trisha was everything to me, and she loved me. She smiled whenever I called her, and I wish I could have given her more. Despite what happened here in Painscreek, these are moments of pure joy that we've all shared together, and I'll hold on to these memories, and I'm sorry that I'm leaving and won't be able to serve you anymore. Thank you for everything. Please take care of yourself. Sincerely, Dorothy. What day was that? In January. So that was before, like, Wanda dies. September 23rd, 1994. Yeah, so when she was starting to become paranoid. I cannot believe that Andrew tried to kill himself again. Thank God for Scott. I cannot imagine what would have happened if Scott wasn't here to save him. Andrew was never like this when Laura and Daniel were here. Even as his wife, I doubt Laura had any idea why Andrew turned out this way. I can't blame her for leaving him and taking their son. I wonder if they've contacted each other since then. October 10th, 1994. I visited Andrew at the hospital today. He seemed different. He looked calm, as if he had somehow managed to find peace within himself. Interesting. The attending nurse said Scott had been here almost every day, taking care of him. Andrew has been talking a lot with Scott. Andrew told me he's ready to see Laura and Daniel again. I'm glad to hear that. I should call Laura and tell her the good news. February 13th, 1995. Scott came to fix my leaking sink today. He did a wonderful job, and I offered him tea, and we talked quite a lot, mostly about Charles and Vivian. I showed him my old photo album. To my surprise, Scott became very quiet. He asked me if he could borrow one of the photographs, and I did not see why not. He thanked me and left in a hurry. Oh, I should call Laura and tell her about Andrew's situation. You waited 4 months? Let me write that in a very specific way. It's ironic that Andrew died shortly after being saved. June 19th. Yeah. So around the time I thought. I met Laura and Daniel at Andrew's funeral today. Daniel reminded me of Andrew. I can't believe he's already 15 years old. Okay, so Daniel would have been 15 at this point, and they were in town for the funeral. Last time I saw him, he was only 7. Laura said Andrew had been sending them money for the past few years. She had been considering to return to Painscreek so that they could be together again. If only I'd called Laura before the fire accident. I feel so sorry for them. Dorothy, you dropped the ball on this one. Photo of Dorothy and Trisha years ago. I see. I keep turning towards the door thinking that the ghost is gonna be there. I'm so paranoid. November 1972. There's a newly hired maid named Sophia. I think Matthew recommended her. Huh. Saying that she's his cousin. She's very pretty and has very good manners. She's a quick learner too and does whatever she's told to do. She's very eager, asking a lot of what she should do. How she should act when Charles and Vivian are present, how to be perfect at her job. I like her already. March of 1973. The guys delivering food to the mansion were gawking at Sophia as if they had never seen a pretty girl before. I had to ask Sophia to go back into the house, otherwise someone might have had funny ideas. Her uniform needs a little more cover. Of course. June 20th, 1973. Matthew sometimes comes over and checks to see if Sophia is doing okay. I tell him he's worrying too much, that Sophia is loved by all. Matthew seems pleased every time I say this. If I didn't know better, I think Matthew liked her. September 24th, 1973. It rained heavily today. Sophia and I were having our tea break when she asked me, "What does it feel to be loved?" I said, "Well, it's like the feeling you get when you're with your parents." She was quiet for a moment and then replied, "It's hard for me to imagine because I don't have parents." Dorothy, I'm starting to think that you are constantly dropping the ball, and you have been like this since the very beginning. I didn't know what to say to her at that time, but after the break was over, I decided to make an effort to care for her more. This is the first bathroom that I've been able to open a lot of stuff in. So, there's still one more diary from Dorothy, which I'm gonna guess is in her house, more than likely. Yeah, I figured that this was probably the one since it has 5 and it's next to the other one, so it was probably gonna be the study. Got it. Yeah, that looks suspicious, but I guess it's just one of those little end cap things for you to slide cables underneath. But no, like this is 1999. They didn't do that back then. At least not fully, you know. Oh my gosh. It's actually a hidden passageway. Great. I'm gonna just label that with book needed. I need an item. Uh, okay, desk. Really? Can't even read those? Okay then. Okay, I can't open that bottom one. Okay. What's this? Okay, let me take pictures of them. Okay. Painscreek Medical Hospital. Vivian Roberts Medical Report. Dear Charles Roberts, Vivian's situation is currently stabilizing. She has accepted the fact that she cannot conceive anymore. However, she needs time to fully recover. A 6-month rehabilitation is necessary. Your presence at the hospital has been noted to upset her. This only helps prolonging her recovery. I am suggesting that you try and refrain from visiting your wife until she is in a better state to receive you. Your mother's desire for a boy to be an heir to your family has caused tremendous strain on her. Please consider addressing this issue with your mother. Painscreek Medical Hospital regards a patient's recovery as the highest priority. Our staff will do the very best to help Vivian. I apologize for any inconvenience this may have caused you. Signed, Dr. Henry Johnson, 1974, in August. That's what I needed to know. Thank you, game. We now have a confirmed date of she cannot have children after this point. And I marked it down. Cool. I believe it's in Mary Martinez's journal in June 11th. There will be a grand party to celebrate Trisha's birthday this evening. She'll be officially 21 years old. In 1974, the month after Trisha was born, she was told that she is infertile. And she is constantly upset about Charles. What is that? Fine smoke. It's got the picture of a vulture on it. The Illustrated Medical and Health Encyclopedia. 4 right, 3 left, 3 right. Okay, let me write that down. Okay. I thought we would have to explore a little bit more to get the book, but I guess we're here now. Something written on the back. Yeah. Okay, what moved? Okay, so we need to figure out which... which ones we need to push in? That suddenly just got a lot more complicated. Okay, so I mentioned the fact that I was looking for a dartboard, and I couldn't find one inside the manor, which immediately makes me think that I need to go to the inn, cross-reference the one that's there. But that might also be, like, not the right call for that. Does this door open with this key? Maybe not? I don't even see a lock on this door. So where would the the exquisite key be used? Maybe the garage? Nope. Doesn't work on the attic either. What other doors could it possibly lead to? Oh. It's the corridor key. Interesting. Oh. Oh, this must have been their bedroom. Okay. It's locked with no keyhole. Uh... Stephen Moss's room key? What? Glasses? Oh, this is probably No. Same handwriting. This is, Vivian. Andrew came to me and told me that he didn't need an assistant. He said Scott is too inexperienced and a burden to him. What he hasn't realized is that the garden has not been maintained well over the past few months, and that his drunk behavior is irritating, and Scott is actually doing more work than he is. Scott is a fast learner. He should be up to speed in no time. Charles was the one who insisted on hiring him anyways. Charles likes the boy. They've been hunting together quite a number of times, and Charles always seems happy with his company. I just don't understand his love for hunting. He sometimes spends more time in his hunting cabin than at home. January 3rd. I was shocked to learn that Scott has been asking around about Sophia. How did he know about Sophia? Who could have told him? It must have been Andrew. I told him Sophia's gone. Those hallucinations is just getting worse. He needs to see Henry and get more pills. I'll need to have Bernard keep an eye on Scott from now on. I'll try to see who he talks to, who he asks. Okay. So, Vivian went from I like Scott to enemy in a split second. April 8th. I called Oliver and asked if he could be the main photographer for the Easter fundraising event. When he asked what the funds will be used for, I told him it will be used to raise awareness of Painscreek to promote our town's tourism. After listening, he agreed to help. When asked how much he would charge, he simply said it would be free. I was surprised. I appreciated his contribution for this town. Took me a second to remember who Oliver was. Of course, he's the photography guy. April 12th, 1999. The deal with Howard Medical came through. Just as I anticipated, instead of being happy, I feel empty. Am I getting numb from work? Or is it that I don't care anymore? Our dinner tonight was quiet. Charles didn't eat much. He asked me about my day, but I didn't want to talk about it. As a matter of fact, I don't want to talk to him much these days. Trisha was silent as well. She's distancing herself from me. I can feel it. She used to confide in me about everything. Now we hardly talk. Is stopping her from seeing Scott wrong? July 6th, 1994. I don't want Trisha to be near Scott anymore. Of all men in this world, why would Trisha pick him? This is unacceptable. No. Okay, there's the winding key for the music box? I see what you did, game. Very clever. So, they put Vivian's hat on this side of the bed to tell me that this side drawer is all Vivian's stuff. Meaning, those glasses are hers too. Maybe? Or she was just holding on to it. Oh, there's so many drawers on this one. So I do not know how long I was muted. If I have to re-go over like some of the stuff in post, I will. But that's for later me to deal with. Okay, let's unlock this. Huh. Does not work. Interesting. Nothing happened. Oh. Sneaky Charles. Okay, so I spend a lot of time trying to figure out how to open this clock. Turns out that it's an exact time that I need to set it to that I just don't know yet. And then it will open. I don't know what that time is yet. We're going to get to that eventually. Tried a few things. Did not seem like any of them really worked. And now it looks like that we're out of clues. Okay, so things we still do not know about this mansion. Yeah, about the manor. We haven't accessed the garage or the attic. We haven't accessed the secret hideout that's behind the building. Found a way to unlock either the guest room or the upstairs bathroom. We don't have the 6-digit combination for the painting safe. We don't have a key for the desk room, the tea room clock. Let me just change that, the clock code needed for the tea room clock. Trisha's bedside table and Trisha's music box still need keys. We need a 4-digit combination for the study room, and we need a combination for the book code. That's pretty much it for the manor right now. We don't really have anything else. I felt like that the 463 was related to the clock, but now I'm not so sure. So we have Stephen Moss's key, have the cabin key. We've already used the butterfly key. We have the darts puzzle, which also requires us to go back to the inn. And then what else? Scott's bedroom. That's what it is. Okay, so like I mentioned, as I was like kind of looking around, I actually found out where it was. Of course, it's behind the painting. How could I have ever have guessed? 4-digit combination. So may or may not have been spoiled that it's probably related to the code on this one, which is 1985? Huh. let's try... Let's try to write out the number... So it's 3385. That doesn't work. Okay, so it takes me a bit of time to realize that May is actually the 5th month of the year and not the 3rd month of the year, so I'm actually going to leave the episode off on that instead of having you watch me flounder around for several minutes and then trying desperately to figure out what I did wrong. Either way, we'll be back in a bit. The start of the next episode will probably be me finally unlocking this and then doing all the stuff. Anyway, I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.